Hello everyone, I'm John. This is the channel of Moon High Effect. Please share my channel with other people if you want to have more information about cryptocurrency, trading lessons, and much more, of course. Today I'm going to give you guys some lessons of the beginning, how the history of Bitcoin really started and why it came to pass, and also a bit about the history of our money system, so that you maybe know why we are going against a new wealth transfer. I will not go completely in detail about this. I will just give you guys the main basics that you need to know. Let's just start in and we will see how much new information you guys get. Our money system is it really reliable as we have been taught? That's now the main question that a lot of people will ask, because we are now in an inflationary system, because they can print out money just like they want to. If we would do that back in home, at our own backyard or in our own basement or something like that, we would call this fraud. And why aren't they be punished by doing the same? Now, I'll take you guys in a small history lesson today, so that you guys know why these people can just get away with it. I'm not going to talk about themselves and who they are and everything. You can look that up yourself. It's very easy. I'm just going to give you the main basics that you need to know, so that you know really why we are getting a wealth transfer at this point, because people need to know and see what the money system that we have today, how corrupt it is and how not good it is, and what we can do against it really. So let's take a look. A small history lesson of our money itself. A lot of people don't know this, but we started by trading, handle trading. So that means if you have an apple and I have a pear and you want my pear, I will trade you an apple for it. So that's how it happened. If you have a sheep and I need the sheep, that you would get that many apples or breads from me to get that same amount. So that's how they traded in the old days, very old days really. I'm not gonna put the dates onto it, how long it's been, but it's been quite a while ago. So after that one, they traded with shells. So people were trading beautiful shells that they found at the beach, because it had more reliability on it. So that means that it did not go to waste. So like the apple that I traded for you, at a certain point, the apple would not have its value anymore, because it became rotten. You could have eaten it by then, but if you did not sell it, yeah, it didn't have any value anymore. So that's why people started to trade with shells, because they have more value about it after it. After that, they traded with jewelries and everything else. So then the silver and gold pieces came to work. So they traded with silver and gold for something different, because it was easier to carry and you could really have a normal standard on it. So everybody would trade with the same stuff. They would weigh it and they know it's that much worth. So it was easy to handle, easy to trade, easy to take with you. Yeah, instead of you would having like a ton of shells with you and different shapes and this stuff. So that's why they traded with gold and silver. It was easier and it has nice reliability on it, and it also has a nice way of showing the people how much money you have, and it's easy to carry too. After a while, after that period, trading was done with bank billions. So the euro that you have now in your pocket was not a euro back then. It was your own currency from your own country at that point. But I'm gonna talk about the dollar, because this is the main currency over the world. The first ones to start with trading with paper were the Chinese. These were far faster into this than we were, and after a few years the American also started doing this. So the first people that really started trading with bank billions were really about the Chinese. So what happened after a while? So we needed to have reliability also on these paper pieces. So at the beginning, the paper pieces were backed by gold. So if you would give your dollars inside of a bank, you would be able to get gold back out of it. A lot of people don't know this history, but it's a very important one, because then there was a proof that there was only that much. They could only print more billions if they have more gold inside their vaults. So they have to show every year these kind of vaults how much they had, and then they could print out more billions that they can support the country or give it to somebody else. That's one of the things. Now, who stopped this gold backed by gold? That was Nixon. That was the President Nixon stopped it. I will show you in a second what he really did. And now our money system is really paying with the digital money, really, because 90% of the money that you spent, you never had it in your hands anymore. And it's really all in one certain point. So the bank normally have it, and you pay with a bank card or with a phone app or with anything else, or you take it out of the wall. Back in the ages when people were still young and people were the first time they have a bank card, it was like, how would you ever get money out of a wall? That would be strange to see. Yeah, maybe your grandfather still knows the time when it started, and that was very strange for them. We now pay with we now pay with a bank app, and we don't even touch our screen anymore. So we just put the bank card onto it, and it's gone all digital. The transfer even happens without your saying. You don't even have to put in PIN code anymore. So that's quite strange also. But people rely it and trust it as long as the system is okay. Now I do have to tell you something about that system. Because of the dollar. First of all, I call the dollar the biggest Ponzi scheme there is, really. So if you have one coin and you give it to one person, no, let me pronounce it a bit different. Let me pronounce it like this. If you have $100 and we want to get a loan out of the bank, the first person gets $100 and the second person got $100. If you can imagine that, and you have to repay 10% by the end of the year, it's for easy counting. So that means if you have $100 and you have to repay 10% extra to the bank, that means that you need to have $110 to be able to pay back. Now that second person, also that had a loan, need to do the same. One of you two guys, of you girls, went perfectly at this, and you guys made money. One of them made money. So the first time he took the money from the other person and he could repay his money. So he took 10% of the other one, make it 20% to count it easy. So, and he still have like $10 left now. So he made a beautiful profit. He had $10 extra into his account, but the other person is minus $20 of his $100 that he got from the bank. So that's, he only had 80 left. But how can he repay his 110 then? Now, if you even count on the money from the previous owner, so he took like $20 from the other person, so he still has 10. Even if you take those 10 back and give it to the other person, you still only have $90. How can you ever pay $110 then back? So the dollar is already based from the beginning, when the first loan came out, based on thin air. So that means that really people were loaning money that did not exist already. So they made it money out of thin air. So they wanted to get more money back than there was already and circulated. So that makes it very vulnerable. If people don't see it that way, but that's how it really worked. So if there does not come a new person to take a loan, that's impossible for that second person to ever repay his money, because there is none left even. So that's why it's really a very not good system for me. So now let's talk about the value of the dollar and why the value decreased so fast at a certain point. So like you can see on the left side, you have the value of the dollar. So it was $1 in 1913, and in 2009 it's like only 20 cents left anymore. Even lower than 20 cents. If this is 25, you make it like it's around 10 cents left for the same dollar that you would spend in 2009 than that you had spent it in 1913. The value has decreased it by 79%. That's a lot. That means at least 90%. So that means that you only have like 10 cents that you can spare or give out for the same dollar that you would have had back then. So now a little bit of history. In 1944, at the Bretton Woods Conference, the exchange rate of various foreign currencies against the US dollar was fixed, which was made example of the gold at fixed price of $35 per ounce. In other words, the dollar was based on the gold standard. That means if any dollar that you wanted to print out extra, for every $35 they printed out extra, they had to have 1 ounce of gold in their vaults. If they did not, they were not allowed to print out a lot of money. Now, by the early 1970s, after the cost of the Vietnam War, what was really like this, so they were printing in 1970s a lot of money because they needed it to support the war in Vietnam so that they could make sure it went the right way. A lot of people don't remember this. Your parents may, some people may not. Younger people maybe not remember this, but I'll give you just the small history. If you want to look it up, you can really look everything about this up online. It's everywhere anyway. Let me continue. The Vietnam War and increased economic spending drove up inflation. So that means they were printing out a lot of money, and people all over the world were suspicious because they didn't believe that the United States had that much gold in their vaults to be able to trade against that much printing that they have done. So over the cost in 1970, the turning point, because the foreign arbitrage of the dollar caused the gold coverage of the US banknotes by the US government to decrease from 55% to 22%. What does this mean? They stopped really at 1971. They stopped the gold standard after it because they could not show it anymore that they had that much gold inside. So a lot of people all over the world that put their golds inside the vaults of the American banking system, then they took it back out, and because they have done that at a certain rate very fast, they were not able to prove anymore that it was correct what they were doing. So what happened then, back then? It's called the Nixon Shock. You can also look this up. I'll just explain it in my words, so it's maybe easier to understand than read it off. So what is President Nixon famous about? He scrapped the gold standard. Yeah. So what did he do? He made sure that the people of the Federal Reserve, so these are the people that own the money system of the dollar, so that they can really keep it for themselves and that they could print anything that they wanted to. The people did not really matter anything about it because they already been trading with dollars for a very long time at that point. But the Nixon Shock also did take off the gold standard. That meant that they did not have to have 1 ounce for every $35 they were printing. So they took it away and they said, yeah, we will place it back at a certain point after everything is okay. But because of the inflation that was going on in 1970, they had to do this to stabilize like the economy. Nah, they didn't really stabilize it anything. They just made it worse because people just believed that everything was okay. And by the time of now, a dollar is like worth 3 cents instead of a dollar. It used to be worth back in the 1990s. So this is really not good for our money system. And why is this? Because it's centralized, people. Because one person really has all the money influence. No, there were 6. There's a team of 6 to 9 persons that really have everything to talk about. These people are very rich and they control the completely handle of everything of money system at this point that we use still. Even the euro and all, they are dependent on the dollar. So if you know, 60% of every transaction is done in dollars, so that means the dollar is the most stable one because they have been used at the most certain of times and the most certain of payments. So when the dollar and the gold is no longer a standard after each other, that means that they could print anything out that they want to, and this man handed it over completely to the Federal Reserve. I'll show you now a bank billet that used to be shown. So on the left side you can see the dollar based on the standard gold. So yeah, there is a bit of Flemish on this also, but I'm sorry about that. So if you can see, there is a small piece in yellow written onto it: redeemable in gold on demand at the United States Treasury. Origin: gold of lawful money attained Federal Reserve Bank. So that means here the gold standard was still onto it. So you can see there's nowhere Federal Reserve written in big onto the bank billet. But it's really in a very small amount, but it means that these people still had to have the gold into it. So if you would bring the $50 back, that means that you would have at least more than 1 ounce of gold. But on the right side, you can see after the Nixon shock, they stopped a lot of it. They changed a lot of it, of the banking system, and they changed a lot of the billet too. There is a lot of symbolism also onto this banknote. I'm not going to talk about that. If you want me to chat about how symbols work and which symbols is which. I can show you. I know the history too, but this is not why I'm making this thing. I'm just wanted to show you guys how much the gold or how much the dollar and the euro that's in your pocket even worth. So they talk about the deflationary now and the going down of Bitcoin and something like that. It's not gonna happen, people. It is the new money system from tomorrow. Anybody that can save up their money now into cryptocurrency, please do so. Keep it aside for the next 10 years. You'll be very happy by 10 years of now. Because there is only like 6% or 7% of the world that are starting to trade with cryptocurrency, that are starting to use it really. You can see it all over the world that people in big places like Africa are starting to use it, and there are a lot of other people already using it as a normal money system so that they can pay with it. Not a lot of people do it yet, but they will do it at a certain point. It's very fluctuated at this point, but so is the dollar. And the good thing about cryptocurrency is that it's not that is not inflationary, that is deflationary. So some coins at least, if they have a maximum amount that you can use from it. So on the right side, like I said, you could see the dollar now, and on big you can see in the front on the first page on top, Federal Reserve note. So it's not a bank bill yet anymore, it's a note. So a note is really something that's worth nothing. Just the people are used by trading by this, and they just changed a few things onto it, and people still believe that it was worth the things that it should be worth, but it's really backed by nothing. So they can just print it out as much if they want. And why is that? Because the Federal Reserve is a company that is not owned by the government, like a lot of people think. It's owned by a private people. So they're really owned by private people. Why is central money system not good? So dollar-based gold standards. So on the left side, you can see the Federal Reserve System. That's on top. Then you have the 12 regional reserve banks. So they are placed all over the world. So also the Swiss bank is one of them. You can look up. That's for the euro. You also have you have a lot of banks under it. So I'm not gonna completely go in depth into this. I just want to show you how this system works. So the central bank of the Federal Reserve is on top. Then you have the 12 regional reserve banks, and these make sure that all the people get money when they need to, and they can print out anything they want, any day, anywhere that they want, because these people are sovereign, and that's also something different. But these people can do anything that they want with anything really, and they get away with it for free. So if we were doing that, we would be we would go to jail for something stupid like that, and it would be not funny for us, because they are doing it without any need of it, and we get paid for it. So like you can see, if one person is controlling everything, so that means that they can stop anything too, and they have a lot of power. So why is central point not good for for our money system? One, it's not safe from hackers because it has a central point, so it can be hacked at any time, anywhere, like they want to. If they get into it, they can take money out of it like they want to. Second, it's controlled by a small group, so a lot of people get a lot of power, and that's not good either. If people get too much power, they abuse it and make sure that people follow them like they want to, and that you can see anybody at this point. There are a lot of people walking in the street, just keep following everything that they are told to do, and we are like this. We are very nice and friendly people that want to help one another, so that's normal. That's why I'm doing this too. It's not in your own hands, so that means if the bank tomorrow closes, you're not able to get on your money anymore. Do you feel safe by that? Ask your question to yourself. I would definitely not feel safe about that, but that's your choice. If you want to do this, it's totally up to you. And a few people get a lot of power. So like you can see, the round circle here, the red one in the center, right down below. So you can see the red circle in between. So make that you are one of a blue one, and I am also a blue one. We need a few things before we can transfer money from one to another. First of all, we both need a bank account. Second of all, you need to put a bank transfer to your bank. Third of all, your bank needs to approve it and send it to the other bank. Fourth of all, then it comes onto my account if it's approved, and then I can take it off again. So this takes a long process to want to do. And second of all, it's controlled by anybody, because if they say you're not allowed to transfer the money from left to right, you won't be able to do it because they reject it. Not a lot of people see it that way, but it happens to people every day. And it costs a lot of money too, because they make a lot of profit out of it. They even open bank accounts that were charging you to put your money there. Why would you get charged by putting your money somewhere? How silly is that of us to do so? It's then even better to put it under your mattress. It is also deflationary. It's also inflated and deflated, but it doesn't cost you any money to keep it there. It's free to keep it in your own home. So, but they just say it. Yeah, you can be robbed and everything else to it. Yeah, no, it's not really that way, but that's how it works. So this is why it's centralized is no good, because you haven't had any control of your own money, because they can choose perfectly when to end it, to open it, how much they can print out of it. So that's why I don't like the central banking system anymore. That's my opinion. No financial advice. But then there was a new player in town. And 2009, when the previous money system collapse started, because there was a big disaster back in Belgium for us. A lot of people lost a lot of money. And then this one came along, and this is 2009. There was a new player in town, I call it, and this was Bitcoin. What does Bitcoin really do? It's a peer-to-peer. So let me just read this small bit, so I just rephrase a few words in my own sentences when we get there. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency and a global mean of payments. So that, I mean, you can pay it with anybody, anywhere, anytime, whenever you want to. And you don't have to, and it cannot be stopped by anyone either. So it's your choice when you pay to it, and if you pay with it, you can pay with it. If he has the same, if he also has a wallet that you can send it to, you can pay each other straight away. It is the first decentralized digital currency that operates without a central bank or central administrator. That means it cannot be stopped when you send money from left to right. It means that you are the only one that control it. So you're the one in control of your own money again. Doesn't that sound good? For me it does. But you're also responsible then. The network is peer-to-peer, and the transaction takes place between the user themselves without an intermediator. So that means that you can send money to another person, and that we, the people, are the ones that control it really. Because there is no central point, and there is no person that has more, that can really fluctuate the market completely. But you do have to have a decentralized wallet then. So if you have it on a centralized exchange, that's something different. Then you have still a third person in between. But that will be for the next lesson. These transactions are checked by a cryptographic algorithm via so-called nodes and stored in a public distributed database known as a blockchain, to which a block is added on average once every 10 minutes. Now let me rephrase this one. So every transaction that we make is put it on the blockchain, and every 10 minutes this block is being locked, and every transaction that is being done within those 10 minutes is in that certain block. The next block will be closed after those 10 minutes. And also, what do the people get when they are mining? So they call it a mining or a node running system. So if you mine Bitcoins, every 10 minutes there comes the X amount of Bitcoin free. In the beginning that was a lot. Now every 4 years they halve the amount that cryptocurrency of Bitcoins are being released to the miners. And you get paid twice as a miner. One, for transaction. So every person that trades with Bitcoin, you get a small piece of it. The second thing that you get paid for it is if you can get your algorithm to solve a mathematical question that you need to solve, and it's algorithm faced going up or down. That means the more hash power that gets into the currency, the more difficult the mathematical solution is, or yeah. And the way down is just the same. If people get off the mining systems, it eases up again, so that it fluctuates nicely. So almost every 10 minutes there is a block added to it. That means every 4 years, around 4 years, that there will be a halvening. So they constantly divide the cryptocurrency that are being released. So that means after 4 years from now, no, 2 years from now in 2024, yeah, there is again a halvening. In 2020 there was also a halvening, and now in 2024 there will be a halvening again. And that point, there will only be released like I think it's 625 bitcoins per 10 minutes. I think we're now on 625, so that means that there will only be 3.12 and a half bitcoins every 10 minutes released. So if they're constantly releasing less and less bitcoins, that means the demand for it will grow, and that there will be an deflationary. So that means how more people want bitcoins, how less there are produced, and the demand rises, that means the price of Bitcoin will rise too. So that's why people believe, and I think so too, that Bitcoin will be at a certain point 1 million for 1 Bitcoin. And why do I think this? Because you need 1 million Satoshis to get to 1 Bitcoin. So we'll read this in a second. The concept of a blockchain was described by 1989 by Wei Dane on the cyberpunk mailing list, and implemented in 2009 as open source software. So what is also good on cryptocurrency? It's an open software, so anybody can read how it's been made. So anybody can reproduce it too. So that's why it's also nice, because everybody can touch the technology. Not everybody can be a bank, but everybody can make a blockchain if you know how to write it. So it's also a good way to start just studying for yourself. If you can write blockchains, you also make a lot of money too. That's on the side now. Cyberpunk's mailing listed and implemented in 2009 as open software under the name Bitcoin by Satoshi Nakamoto. This person is not been known who it is, Satoshi, but he never reveals himself. But he has a lot of bitcoins on his wallet, and he has around 980,000 bitcoins on his wallet, and it's never been moved since the beginning of the creation of cryptocurrency in 2009. So they still are all on it, and they are completely left alone. Now, I do have to tell you a few other things about cryptocurrency on bitcoins. In the beginning, bitcoins was not worth a lot, so a lot of these bitcoins are now at the trash can. A lot of people made mistakes in the beginning, because you had to be a half of a computer geek to be able to transfer 1 Bitcoin to another, because it was not easy back then. Now it is made a lot easier. But also, that means that there is, if you only have like 21 million Bitcoins ever been produced, and there is already like 5 to 6 million on the graveyard somewhere or in a junkyard somewhere, that means that there are a lot less. And then, if you know there's a 1 million been put away also on Satoshi Nakamoto's wallet, that means there's still 1 million less. So if instead of 21 million, I think there is only like 15 million ever gonna be circulated anymore. So 15 million is not a lot, people. So remember, if everybody wants a Bitcoin and you have 0.28 Bitcoin, you'll be very rich. So why do I prefer Bitcoins or a blockchain related stuff? Because one, it's decentralized. So what is decentralized? If you look on the right, you can see computers and a person beside it. So that means if I want to mine Bitcoin and you want to mine Bitcoin at home, and somebody else also wants to mine Bitcoin, that's all good. We can all do that freely without, with paying at least the electrical bill, so that you do have to pay for it. But after that, it's for free that you can mine it. Really, you can just put the source code onto your computer and you can start mining any day if you want to. So you get paid by transaction. And what do you do then? You secure the network. Second of all, if you have a Bitcoin that needs to be transferred, you are the one that's validating this. And that means if you see that this comes from an unknown address and 2 other people see the same, this transaction will be cancelled. So it means it will not be able to be used. if it is from a good address from Bitcoin and you want to send one to the next one, they are able to send it, and you guys all make sure it's been secured. And why is it that secure really? Because if you ever want to hack a cryptocurrency, please do not try this, but if you want to do it, you need to have 51% of the transaction validated. That means that you need a whole lot of computers at this point to be able to hack Bitcoin, because you need 51% of the complete system. Now, what do they also have when they are decentralized? The people that are mining also have a bit of control over the system, and that is because they have a choice. If they want to make something different on the blockchain, 51% has to agree before they can change anything on the blockchain. If they do not have 51% on the blockchain that agrees, they will just split normally and make a hard fork out of it. And you, as owner of one currency, this happened by the way with Bitcoin earlier already, and then they made Bitcoin Cash. I'll explain in a second what happened. First of all, you have Bitcoin, and then afterwards it gets divided in two pieces, because the miners did not agree. They want to make it faster. The other one said no, we have to keep it original because it's made this way. Okay, so they divided in two and they made Bitcoin Cash. What's the good thing for you as owner? You get both of those coins, so you get still keep your Bitcoins that you have, and if they create a hard fork out of a coin, you get that much coins from the other coin that is being produced. So they keep you paid both ways. But it never happened anyway with euros. If they are printing out more, you don't get extra out of it. No, you just get less, because the amount that they have printed out is more than they had used to have, so your money is less worth. So what's also good, it's a peer-to-peer transaction system, so you transfer one money to another person. No one has control over it. That means it cannot be stopped when you send something, so that's very good. There is no personal owner, so nobody has total control over anything, and it cannot be stopped, so that's the second one. It's very nice again. Secure and fast transactions, so it's very fast to send something in comparison to a banking system really. So it can send very, very fast, but it can also be slow to other currencies, but that's something different now. I'm not going to talk about that. Fully owned by yourself, and it's your own responsibility. I mean by that, if you send something to a wrong wallet, you cannot undo that transaction. But that's 99% also, so if you send something with bank system and it's not on the right address, you cannot return that either. So just to let you know, it happened before with a friend of mine, so I know what happened, and he was not able to get the money back as he thought he would be able to do. So they make it look like it's okay, but it's really not that okay. And the third of all, also, if it's centralized, people look up your laws. You can only have like 100,000 on your bank account, and they can take off the rest if there ever is a problem with inflation or something. What's happening at this point? So be secure for yourself and make sure you put it on the right place if you have enough money. So, and it's also decentralized, and that's what decentralized is, that we the people get control over our own money again, because we need to trust one on each other, and that's the way we will get there. Thank you for your attention. I hope you guys learned something, what centralized and decentralized is, how money system a bit worked, and why we should get into cryptocurrency. That's my thoughts. No financial advice still. Or divide it in multiple things, because I think gold and silver will still survive too. But which is the new standard, we don't know yet, and we will only see in a few years from now. We are all still very early at this. I just want to educate you people so that you know what you're doing and where you will get there. If you like these kind of movies and you want more information about cryptocurrency, how it works and what we can do with it, just let me know in the comments and I'll send you some more infos about cryptocurrency and the beginning of it. I hope you learned something. Have fun and enjoy life. Love and hug the ones that you love, so that you're always feeling happy too. Be well, and we see you guys in the next lesson. Ciao.